Nature can be cruel, cruel enough to tear everything apart. Yet within that destruction, the Philippines hides unreal wonders. Amid roaring storms, trembling alard, and the deep abyss of the ocean, exist sights that will make you question your own eyes. There are places where water glows like magic, lands that seem to float in the sky, and natural formations that feel born from imagination. Each scene is a paradox, breathtakingly beautiful, yet holding a power that could swallow everything whole. And just when you think you understand this world, those untold secrets will shatter everything you believe. Balikasag Island is a small island located off the coast of Bohol in the Philippines, sitting in open sea with a marine ecosystem that remains nearly untouched. This place is not known for its size or buildings, but for its rare underwater structure that makes it one of the most notable diving spots in Southeast Asia. From the shoreline, the seabed suddenly drops more than 300 feet, similar to the height of a skyscraper, creating the feeling that the ocean is split in two. The coral reef around the island grows in layers like an underwater city, where marine life moves constantly like traffic that never stops. Within just about 10 feet of swimming, the water changes from light blue to deep blue, like stepping through a door into two completely different worlds. The entire island works like a closed ecosystem where ocean currents support all life, and humans are only temporary observers in this environment. Located in Leyte province in the Philippines, Kalangaman Island captivates visitors with a pristine white sandbar stretching across the sea, forming a rare and perfectly balanced natural landscape. Measuring about 2,500 feet in length, comparable to more than 7 standard soccer fields, The central sandbar creates an open and striking setting amid turquoise waters. The island is renowned for its twin sandbars extending into the ocean, formed through thousands of years of coral sediment accumulation that reveal the persistent dynamics of nature. Local fishing communities maintain a close relationship with surrounding waters, relying on marine resources for their livelihoods while preserving the island's pristine and unspoiled environment. What has shaped the island's symmetrical form into such an extraordinary natural wonder? As interacting ocean currents and coral sediments have gradually built and refined its distinctive geological structure over time. With its remarkable landform and crystal-clear marine environment, Kalangaman Island stands as a vivid testament to the untouched beauty and ecological harmony of the Philippines. What happens when you stand in the middle of the chocolate hills in Bohol and realize that thousands of identical hills stretch out like a programmed model? This area contains about 1,268 limestone hills, rising from 100 to 400 feet, densely packed into a nearly perfect repeating structure. These hills formed from ancient marine limestone that rose from the sea, where rainwater slowly dissolved the surface and shaped separate rounded mounds over time. Why does a natural landscape create thousands of almost identical forms that make visitors question if it was built by humans? Because erosion acted evenly on uniform limestone for an extremely long period. When walking through the valleys, your view is surrounded by repeating dome shapes, creating a sense of enclosed space, even though the area is actually very wide. The existence of chocolate hills shows that slow and stable geological processes over millions of years can produce landscapes that go far beyond human imagination. Oslob is a coastal town in the southern part of Cebu Island in the Philippines, where the boundary between land and ocean almost disappears. At this place, whale sharks about 30 feet long appear in shallow water, creating a scene where giant creatures move right next to swimmers at a very close distance. The seabed drops quickly like an underwater wall, allowing deep ocean water to reach the shore and turning the coastline into a direct gateway to the open sea. These bodies, weighing nearly 20,000 pounds, move slowly through clear water, creating an unreal feeling when such massive life exists in a limited space. This phenomenon forms because food gathers near the shore, causing whale sharks to change their migration behavior and creating a rare, semi-natural ecosystem. Oslob becomes unusual because it does not need complex coral reefs, as easy access to the largest ocean animal turns this place into an experience beyond normal logic. Kawasan Falls on Cebu Island in the Philippines is a multi-level waterfall system known for its rare turquoise water that stands out clearly in nature. The most striking feature is not its height, but the bright blue water that looks almost glowing, created by dissolved limestone and light passing through clear layers. Unlike waterfalls with a single stream, this place has several connected levels, forming natural pools arranged like steps, each with different depth and shape. The area is surrounded by steep rock walls, dense forest, and water that curves through narrow gaps, creating the feeling of a natural corridor carved deep into the ground. The rock walls reach about 50 feet high and force the water through tight spaces, creating strong currents that naturally add oxygen for aquatic life. When visitors move along the water through canyoneering, the entire landscape turns into a living pathway where geology and human experience come together. El Nido is a coastal area located in the northern part of Palawan Island, known as one of the most unique marine landscapes in Southeast Asia, where land and ocean form a nearly closed natural system. Hundreds of limestone cliffs rise directly from the water, creating a maze-like terrain with high walls, narrow gaps, and spaces divided into many separate zones. These rock formations developed over millions of years as seawater and slightly acidic rain slowly dissolved limestone, shaping sharp and complex structures. Many water areas are completely enclosed by cliffs and can only be reached through very narrow openings, giving a strong feeling of being isolated from the outside world. The marine ecosystem in El Nido grows in relatively stable conditions because the surrounding rock islands block strong external impacts and support coral and marine life. The combination of limestone, seawater, and light creates a semi-closed ecosystem where people move through spaces that feel like a hidden world. Located between Benguet and Ifugao provinces in the Philippines, Mount Pulag rises majestically with pristine landscapes and distinctive high-elevation ecosystems. Standing at about 9,500 feet, comparable to nearly 9 Eiffel Towers, it ranks as the third highest mountain in the country. For indigenous communities, Mount Pulag is a sacred domain, deeply tied to ancestral beliefs, reflecting a long-standing relationship between people and the natural world. The mountain is renowned for its remarkable sea of clouds, formed by elevation differences and terrain conditions that create a rare and surreal tropical panorama. Its layered ecosystems, including mossy forests, grasslands, and dwarf bamboo, reveal millions of years of natural evolution and ecological adaptation across varying altitudes. Mount Pulag symbolizes harmony between humanity and nature, representing enduring ecological importance and cultural heritage within the diverse landscapes of the Philippines. Located in the northern mountains of the Philippines, Baguio developed as a highland city where steep hills and pine forests shape a landscape unlike coastal urban centers. At about 5,000 feet above sea level, nearly 5 times the height of the Statue of Liberty, it was planned in the early 20th century as a mountain retreat. Roads curve along natural slopes instead of flattening terrain, showing how urban design adapted directly to complex mountain geography. Dense pine forests and layered vegetation cover many areas, creating continuous green space rarely found in growing tropical cities. Students and artists move here to study and create, forming a vibrant cultural community that remains closely tied to highland life. What allows a city at this elevation to maintain identity and stable structure for over a century? Careful early planning that respected terrain and strengthened its role as an educational and cultural center, preserved its natural foundation. Welcome to Hundred Islands National Park, where the ocean is broken into a maze of limestone, raising the question of whether this is natural or something arranged in advance. This archipelago has more than 120 small islands formed from ancient coral lifted upward, then slowly dissolved and cut apart by rainwater over millions of years. From above, the islands are packed closely, like a living fractal map, turning the sea into a network of empty spaces instead of one continuous surface. When traveling by boat, distance becomes hard to judge because the islands constantly block the view, creating the feeling of moving inside a system without a center. Depth shifts from a few feet to several tens of feet, causing the water to change color clearly and turning the entire area into a moving color map. This limestone structure, shaped by erosion and tectonic uplift, creates a rare landscape where geology and ocean processes combine into a fragmented system on Earth. Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines is a volcano that remained inactive for hundreds of years before suddenly reshaping the entire terrain, leaving fresh land marked by thick ash layers from a powerful eruption. The eruption in 1991 released about 10 cubic kilometers of material into the atmosphere, equal to millions of truckloads, showing an extremely large energy discharge in a short period. How can an area almost completely erased develop a stable crater lake and new soil capable of supporting ecosystems within only a few decades, while the underlying geology continues to shift due to rainfall and sediment movement? Local residents were forced to evacuate quickly due to danger, then later returned to rebuild their lives using the newly formed soil for farming, showing a clear pattern of human adaptation to environmental change. The current landscape includes a blue crater lake about 2 miles wide, surrounded by steep rock walls and grey ash terrain, deeply cut by erosion, forming a clearly structured surface. The entire area demonstrates natural regeneration, as new soil gradually forms, allowing vegetation to return and establishing the foundation for a new ecosystem to grow from an almost empty starting point. Located in the Central Visayas region of the Philippines, Cebu is an island province, renowned for tropical coastlines and diverse ecosystems that create an enchanting natural landscape. The island impresses visitors with harmonious scenery, where clear blue shores meet limestone mountains, forming rich ecological environments shaped through millions of years of geological processes. Covering about 1,900 square miles, comparable to nearly 690,000 soccer fields, Cebu offers vast terrain that supports remarkable biodiversity and distinctive landscapes. What has made Cebu one of the most significant islands in the nation, as its strategic central location shaped historical trade routes and encouraged lasting cultural exchange? The lives of local communities remain closely connected to the sea, reflecting a long maritime tradition and a balanced relationship between human activity and the surrounding natural environment. The harmony of pristine nature, historical importance, and thriving marine ecosystems transforms Cebu into a meaningful symbol of the Philippines' natural beauty and cultural identity. Boracay Island is a small island in the Philippines, but it has become one of the most famous beach destinations in the world because of its rare natural landscape. The sand here is not rough like usual, but extremely fine like powder, reflecting light strongly and making the whole beach look bright, even with soft sunlight. The water at Boracay shows a clear color shift from light blue to deep blue within just a few steps, caused by the fast change in depth and the bright sandy bottom below. Marine life here has adapted to the fine sandy floor, creating a different ecosystem compared to rocky or muddy environments. The government of the Philippines once closed the island for 6 months to allow the ecosystem to recover, showing how closely this landscape depends on natural balance. Boracay has also been ranked many times by international travel magazines as one of the most beautiful beaches in the world, not only for its beauty, but also for how easy it is to experience. How can stepped fields follow steep mountain slopes while still remaining stable? This is Batad rice terraces in the Philippines, where farming is built directly into rising terrain. These terraces were constructed over 2,000 years ago, showing that manual techniques can sustain agriculture on steep land without relying on modern machinery. Visitors walk along narrow paths, only a few feet wide, where each step reflects clear elevation changes, creating direct interaction with this traditional farming structure. The system is recognized as a cultural heritage site because it combines human labor with natural terrain, forming a long-lasting agricultural model across generations. Batad rice terraces shows how people can maintain stable farming systems on steep terrain without depending on modern technology or mechanical support. Water flows across each level through gravity, moving through soil and stone, keeping the entire system active, like a living network connected to daily human activity. Have you ever heard of a waterfall with surreal beauty, often called the Niagara of the Philippines? That is, Tinuian Falls in Surigao del Sur province, in the Philippines, known for its layered cascades within untouched tropical forest. With a width of about 300 feet, the waterfall stretches nearly as wide as a standard football field, creating a powerful flow rarely seen among natural falls in the country. Surrounded by dense green forest, Tinuyan Falls forms a raw and balanced ecosystem where the original structure of nature remains clearly preserved over time. Local communities have long depended on the waterfall, using its water for daily needs and tourism while maintaining stable livelihoods within a largely natural environment. Why does Tinuyan Falls spread across broad terraces instead of dropping straight down, producing a steady curtain of water over multiple ancient rock layers? This pattern developed as sedimentary rock layers were gradually eroded over thousands of years, guiding water along stepped formations and shaping a wide and enduring cascade system. Imagine, at Siargao in the Philippines, Cloud 9 appears as an offshore surf break where powerful waves form over coral reef, creating a rare structure suited for advanced surfing techniques. Waves here develop over shallow coral only a few feet deep, forcing water upward quickly and producing a clearly defined curling shape used by skilled surfers. Wave heights can reach around 10 to 15 feet under suitable conditions, forming complete barrels that allow precise movement control along the wave face. As waves travel directly from the open ocean without obstruction, their energy remains consistent, maintaining speed and structure as they approach the reef zone. Visitors reach the wave area through a wooden boardwalk stretching several hundred feet, providing direct access between land and the high-energy water surface. The hard coral beneath acts as a shaping surface, allowing many waves to keep a relatively stable form instead of breaking in irregular patterns seen in other coastal areas. In the marine region of the Philippines, Panglao Island appears as an open water landscape where the sea surface and bright seabed create a rare direct access experience. Near shore, waters reach about 10 feet in depth, while still allowing clear visibility of the bottom, making marine ecosystems accessible without advanced equipment. Limestone geology, combined with fine sand, allows sediments to settle quickly, maintaining high clarity and supporting stable coral and marine life development. Coral ecosystems function as a biological base, providing shelter and food for hundreds of marine species that continue to develop in a balanced environment. Coastal depth changes, gradually creating wide, shallow zones that support marine life stability while also allowing people to access the water directly without difficulty. Swimming and diving take place directly above intact coral structures, showing human interaction without altering the original ecosystem formation. Located on Coron Island, Barracuda Lake is completely encircled by towering limestone cliffs, forming an enclosed lake separated from the open sea. While the surface appears simple and calm, it hides a remarkably complex geological structure beneath. Reaching depths of 40 to 60 feet, the limestone walls plunge straight down from the cliffs into the depths of the water. As you dive deeper, you experience distinct layers of water with shifting temperatures, feeling as though you are passing through different environmental boundaries within the same lake. Massive rock formations are stacked along the bottom, creating structures that resemble vast, open underwater caves. The lake was named Barracuda following historical sightings of the predator in the area, adding to the mysterious allure of these unique waters. Located off the coast of Davao del Norte province in the southern Philippines, Samal Island is known as a tropical island where sea, limestone, and dense forest connect within one continuous ecosystem. Covering about 120 square miles, the island is roughly the size of more than 400 football fields, providing enough space to preserve both marine life and tropical woodland. What makes Samal Island stand apart from many other tourist islands is the way tall limestone cliffs rise directly beside clear coastal waters along a complex shoreline. This formed from ancient limestone gradually shaped by erosion, creating vertical rock faces and coastal caves while allowing coral ecosystems below to remain stable. Local residents depend on fishing and tourism services, using ocean resources while protecting interior forest areas and maintaining livelihoods closely tied to natural cycles. By balancing development with conservation, Samal Island represents how a tropical island can grow economically while safeguarding its core ecological structure. Arrive at Samar Island in the Philippines, where an ordinary-looking island hides a two-layer structure that makes the landscape feel unreal from the very first step. Surface Samar is covered by dense rainforest, where light is strongly filtered, creating a stable environment that allows many species to survive without direct sunlight. Beneath the forest, a limestone karst system formed over more than 20 million years creates cave networks stretching for dozens of miles, like a hidden underground city beyond sight. Rainwater quickly sinks through the limestone, making the surface relatively dry while feeding underground rivers that keep moving and shaping the entire structure below. Rivers on the island shift color within just a few feet due to changes in depth and rock composition, creating visual effects that transform the scenery with each step. The experience in Samar feels like walking through two overlapping worlds, where most of the island's true size lies beneath the ground rather than what the eye can see. Calle Crisologo is located in Vigan, Ilocos Sur, a street stretching about 500 feet with its entire surface paved in ancient cobblestones. The street is narrow, with continuous rows of heritage houses on both sides, forming an enclosed and dignified architectural corridor. These houses were built primarily from timber and stone over generations, creating a durable structure that has withstood the passage of time. The combination of stone paths, dark wooden walls, and tiled roofs creates a continuous palette of deep brown tones along the street. Here, horse-drawn carriages move slowly over the old stones, completely replacing modern motorized vehicles within this space. As one of the best preserved colonial streets in the Philippines, it maintains the intact atmosphere of past centuries in the heart of the present. Located in Ifugao province in the Philippines, Banawe rice terraces are not a normal field, but a farming system carved directly into steep mountain slopes. Stretching about 12 miles along the mountainside, the entire system forms a continuous network of terraces, like contour lines rising into real space. Each terrace works like a small reservoir, where water flows from upper levels to lower ones, keeping moisture without any artificial pumping system. The soil and stone walls reach up to 6 feet high, acting like a strong framework that helps the whole structure resist erosion and last for generations. From above, the curved lines connect smoothly, creating the feeling that the land is moving, turning the mountainside into a surface with its own rhythm. Banawe rice terraces feel unreal not only because of their shape, but because people turned steep land into a complete ecosystem where nature and farming exist together. Located about 60 miles west of the main island of Palawan, Port Barton emerges as a secluded destination, away from the usual development centers. The area consists of dozens of small, scattered islands, forming a system of enclosed bays and calm, shallow waters. Bright sandy beaches stretch along the pale blue water, creating an open and continuous surface between the land and the sea. Due to the absence of large-scale construction, the environment remains in its natural state, where nearshore coral reefs support a diverse marine ecosystem. Compared to other famous spots in Palawan, Port Barton is a much less crowded area, preserving a quiet and original atmosphere. This stillness, combined with its untouched beauty, has turned this place into a hidden natural wonder in the Philippines. Have you ever wondered what lies hidden within Sohoton Cove, a limestone system formed over millions of years in Surigao del Norte? Here, limestone cliffs rising 50 to 100 feet stand tall around the water, enclosing the view in a space that is completely separated from the open sea outside. It is this very isolation that has preserved the wild beauty of Sohoton, with almost no human footprints, creating an atmosphere of extraordinary silence. The brilliant blue of the water stands out against the grey rocks and the lush greenery above, creating a strong contrast within the narrow space. To get inside, you must undertake the journey of going through, just as the name Sohoton suggests, passing through low and narrow entrances to explore a continuous network of caves. And the final destination is a jellyfish lake reaching 300 feet wide, a wonder that feels unreal, surrounded by limestone where you can swim freely in absolute safety. On the eastern coast of Luzon Island in the Philippines, Bala in Aurora Province stands as a Pacific-facing town, enclosed by high mountains and thick forest, creating a naturally isolated setting. The meeting of green mountain ranges and a long shoreline opening to the ocean forms a rare terrain where forest, land, and sea connect within one continuous ecosystem. Bala is recognized as the birthplace of surfing in the Philippines, as steady waves attracted ocean sports communities and shaped a tourism industry built around marine energy. Surrounded by elevated terrain, Bala avoided rapid urban expansion and preserved its original landscape structure, allowing nature and local life to remain in long-term balance. Residents depend on fishing and tourism services, using marine resources while protecting the environment and maintaining livelihoods closely linked to surrounding natural systems. The quick transition from upland terrain to open ocean creates a powerful sense of scale and depth, giving Bala a raw and uncommon natural character within the Philippines. Located in Bohol Province in the Philippines, Alona Beach stretches as a pristine white sand shoreline beside clear turquoise waters, creating a serene and captivating natural setting. This beach is renowned for its rich marine ecosystem, where thriving coral reefs support biodiversity while maintaining ecological balance and offering significant scientific value. Extending about 1 mile in length, comparable to nearly 15 standard soccer fields, Alona Beach provides a spacious environment ideal for exploration and immersive coastal experiences. As you step onto its shores, you feel the clarity of the water and the softness of the sand, creating a vivid and memorable sensory experience. Local fishing communities remain closely connected to the sea, relying on marine resources for their livelihoods while preserving the untouched beauty of their natural surroundings. In Sarangani, Davao Occidental in the Philippines, Balut Island rises as an isolated volcanic island preserving ancient geological traces. Within the island lies a crater lake enclosed by land, creating a striking contrast with the vast surrounding ocean. The island formed through past eruptions, leaving basaltic foundations and fertile volcanic soil that shape its rare and distinctive geological structure. Green slopes covered with vegetation and rugged black stone shores create a pristine landscape reflecting a largely undisturbed tropical volcanic ecosystem. Local residents rely on fishing and small-scale farming, sustaining a simple way of life closely connected to the island's natural resources. What allows Balut Island to preserve its pristine environment and unique geology for centuries, according to experts in earth science? In Davao del Norte province in the Philippines, Samal Island stretches across southern waters as a tropical space where white sand, forest, and limestone coexist in layered natural structure. A long coastline combined with clear water and near-shore coral reefs creates a rich marine environment supporting diverse sea life over time. Steep limestone cliffs and natural cave systems reflect ancient geological origins, leaving hollow chambers and rock formations shaped across thousands of years. Local residents rely on tourism and fishing, maintaining daily routines closely connected to the sea while supporting environmental protection. Moving along the shoreline, you notice shifting textures between bright sand, dark rock, and dense vegetation within a landscape not fully urbanized. Through its blend of limestone terrain, diverse marine ecosystems, and conservation-focused development, Samal Island is recognized as a leading ecological resort destination in southern Philippines. Located in northern Palawan of the Philippines, Busuanga Island emerges as a pristine realm where limestone peaks meet tropical seas. Beneath surrounding waters lie more than 10 warships from World War II, resting at depths near 100 feet. The sunken vessels have become thriving marine habitats as their metal surfaces support coral growth, attracting fish and forming stable ecosystems. On land, dense forests blanket rugged limestone hills, creating a raw yet harmonious environment that preserves the untamed beauty of Philippine nature. Local communities rely on fishing and diving tourism, transforming underwater heritage into sustainable livelihoods that support families and preserve traditions for generations. Busuanga Island is internationally recognized as one of the world's leading wreck diving destinations, valued for historical importance and rich marine ecosystems. Located in the northeastern part of Luzon Island in the Philippines, Cagayan Valley in Cagayan Province stretches across vast, fertile plains framed by limestone mountains and an ancient river system. The main river runs for more than 300 miles, comparable to the distance between New York and Washington, and has deposited rich soil over thousands of years. Why has Cagayan Valley remained fertile for thousands of years despite natural and historical changes? Because mineral-rich sediments continuously renew the soil, supporting stable agriculture and sustaining generations of local communities. Have you heard of Puerto Galera in Mindoro Island in the Philippines, a town embraced by tropical hills and a sheltered bay? Local people depend on the sea and forests, harvesting marine resources and supporting tourism to build stable livelihoods shaped by surrounding nature. The blend of lush hills, clear waters, and curving shorelines forms a pristine environment where natural design appears balanced and visually striking. This region is renowned for coral ecosystems, where ocean currents supply nutrients that sustain marine life and create conditions for underwater exploration. Encircled by hills, the enclosed bay acts as a barrier, reducing external impacts and preserving balance essential for navigation and human settlement. This naturally formed harbour keeps waters calm, allowing boats to anchor safely, while generations of fishermen sustain their livelihoods through enduring traditions. Located in Lanao del Norte, Tinago Island is a rare landform where the sea is locked inside steep limestone walls, creating a space almost completely separated from the open ocean. The name Tinago in the local language means hidden, which directly reflects the true nature of this place. Unlike normal open beaches, the water area here sits deep inside a circle of limestone, with only narrow gaps or limited entrances connecting it to the outside. The surrounding cliffs rise almost straight up, formed over millions of years, as slightly acidic water slowly dissolved the limestone and shaped sharp, enclosed structures. This area covers about 2 acres, small like a few sports fields, but it feels like a separate world cut off from the vast ocean outside. This strong isolation makes Tinago Island one of the rare places where people can clearly feel what it is like to be surrounded and separated within nature. Imagine stepping into Intramuros in the heart of Manila, where ancient stone walls enclose the space like a separate world completely cut off from modern city life. Intramuros covers about 0.26 square miles, but was designed as a closed system where all activities once took place entirely inside strong defensive walls. The stone walls reach up to 20 feet thick and were built from sea coral, forming a durable artificial shell similar to natural structures that protect what is inside. What makes an old walled city function like a complete closed system is how thick walls control movement, coral materials keep the structure stable, and grid planning distributes space efficiently using clear scientific logic. As you walk along the walls, the view expands like standing on a cliff, allowing you to observe the entire interior space organized in a controlled and structured way. Intramuros has lasted for more than 400 years as a rare model where human-made design follows natural principles and continues adapting through historical changes. To begin the journey, come to Coron, Palawan, where massive limestone cliffs rise straight from the sea, making the ocean feel divided into isolated, enclosed spaces. Here the cliffs rise nearly 1,000 feet, formed by ancient geological uplift, turning the entire landscape into a giant maze with no traditional sandy beaches. The seawater constantly changes color because depth and limestone below reflect light differently, allowing people to clearly see layers of water stacked over each other. Below the surface, shipwrecks from World War II over 500 feet long have become artificial reefs where marine life grows inside hollow metal structures. These metal structures are not just historical remains, but also living reefs, where corals and marine species spread densely, forming a landscape that is both mechanical and biological. This environment forces people to interact directly by swimming through narrow rock gaps and moving across enclosed waters that feel like natural basins locked between stone walls. Located in the northern part of the Philippines, Ilocos Norte is a land where the terrain creates a strong contrast between dry ground, powerful winds, and a wide open ocean. Unlike the usual tropical image, this place feels closer to a coastal semi-desert, which is rare to see in Southeast Asia. The sand dunes stretch for more than 20 miles, similar to the distance an airplane can travel in just a few minutes, forming ground that constantly shifts under your feet. The coastline looks like a massive rock wall, carved layer by layer, revealing geological structures like pages of the earth opened in front of you. The turbines rise nearly 300 feet tall, similar to a 30-story building, standing between sand and sea like markers of human presence in an extreme natural system. As you move across this area, the ground can change shape unexpectedly, making every step feel like walking on a surface that has never been stable. On an island in Siquijor, Philippines, Cambugahay Falls appears as a multi-level water system where people directly interact with natural water structures without large-scale engineered construction. The water does not fall from a single high point, but forms connected pools, creating a continuous open space where movement across levels happens without interruption. A local resident once relied on this water source for daily use, and that practical function still exists today alongside growing tourism activities. What keeps the water clear and vividly colored despite constant human contact is the limestone filtration system combined with layered flow that reduces impurity buildup over time. Some sections allow rope swings from about 15 feet, similar to a one-story building height, giving a direct physical experience while still maintaining controlled safety conditions. The space extends horizontally through dense vegetation, forming a continuous raw environment where human activity exists without altering the original natural structure. Zamboanga is located at the far southwest of Mindanao Island in the Philippines and serves as one of the largest coastal cities, acting as a gateway facing the Sulu Sea. Just a few hundred feet from the shore, the seabed suddenly drops hundreds of feet, creating the feeling of standing above the edge of an ocean cliff beneath the surface. The water layers appear like overlapping bands of color, formed by changes in depth and light reflecting on bright white sand below. The mangrove forest spreads across thousands of acres and works like a living filter, trapping sediment, supporting life, and protecting the coastline from erosion. The shift from shallow water to deep sea happens within a short distance, allowing multiple ecosystems to exist together in one continuous space. This structure makes Zamboanga feel like two worlds layered together, where people both use natural resources and depend fully on the balance of nature. Located in Ilocos Sur province in the Philippines, Vigan is a heritage city where colonial architecture has remained largely preserved for centuries. Recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 1999, Vigan clearly reflects the meeting of Asian and European cultures. Rows of brick and wooden houses built from the 16th to the 19th century define its historic urban layout and construction techniques. Cobblestone streets and traditional horse-drawn carriages continue to shape daily life, maintaining a slow rhythm and consistent spatial structure. Walking across aged stone pavement, you touch old brick walls and hear carriage wheels rolling steadily through preserved streets. For more than 4 centuries, Vigan has retained its classic urban design through durable materials, stable planning, and long-term community involvement in conservation. Ifugao Province is a mountainous region in the northern Philippines, where the land does not spread wide, but rises upward and holds tightly to steep mountain slopes. Here people do not flatten the land for farming, but turn entire mountainsides into layered terraces that blend human design with the natural landscape. The terraces stretch for more than 12 miles and stack like giant steps, similar to many tall buildings placed on top of each other across the mountains. At an elevation of about 5,000 feet, the whole system still works steadily, like a massive natural machine, without modern technology. This system has existed for over 2,000 years, showing how people can adapt and survive in a challenging environment for a very long time. The space in Ifugao has no clear line between nature and human life, forming one continuous system where land, water, and daily activity are closely connected. Located in the central waters of Philippines, Siquijor exists not as a crowded destination, but as a space that feels separated from the modern world. The entire island was lifted from ancient limestone, with a hollow structure underneath like a giant honeycomb, where water filters through layers before reaching the sea. Just about 300 feet from the shore, the seabed suddenly drops like the edge of a skyscraper, creating a sharp boundary between two different water worlds. Light passes through the clear water and reflects off the bright sand, making the ocean look like a mirror and giving the illusion that it glows from below. There are no large rivers, as all rainwater disappears into the ground and travels through underground channels for many miles before returning to the ocean. Surrounded by dense forest and powered by a self-balancing ecosystem, Siquijor becomes a place that feels both physically real and difficult to fully explain. Subic Bay is a vast natural harbor encircled by mountains and rainforests, forming a protected body of water shielded from the direct movements of the open sea. On the surface, the bay opens into a wide horizon that stretches continuously, uninterrupted by any large islands. This location once served as a major naval base, playing a strategic role throughout various periods of modern history. Diving beneath the calm surface, you encounter massive ship hulls, hundreds of feet long, resting silently on the ocean floor. These shipwrecks lie tilted or overturned, creating imposing man-made structures amidst the deep waters. Over time, their metallic surfaces have been gradually covered by coral, transforming these historical remnants into an integral part of the marine ecosystem. Located in the southern Philippines, Camiguin Island Province rises as a young landmass shaped by ancient eruptions, where dense tropical forest covers rough terrain and local life remains closely tied to the sea. Generations of residents recall times when the ground shook in the past, yet they returned to farm newly formed soil, turning volcanic ash into thick and fertile land for long-term cultivation. The mix of hardened lava slopes, white sandbars that shift with the tide, and humid forest creates a landscape that constantly changes while still supporting rich plant and marine life. What makes Camiguin striking is the sense of standing on land still being reshaped, where natural forces quietly continue rebuilding the island through long geological cycles. You can touch solid black basalt, formed from ancient lava, soak in natural hot springs, and feel that the ground beneath you still carries traces of deep magma activity. Within a compact area, there are more than 7 volcanoes, giving Camiguin one of the highest volcanic densities in the country, and preserving layers of eruption history across the island. In Albay Province in the Philippines, Mayon volcano rises as an almost perfect cone, a rare geological form with striking symmetry. Standing about 8,100 feet tall, nearly twice the height of the Empire State Building, its balanced proportions remain remarkably precise. As an active stratovolcano within the Pacific Ring of Fire, Mayon has erupted more than 50 times since the 17th century. Layer after layer of lava and ash built smooth and even slopes, giving the mountain a form that appears carefully constructed. Local communities continue farming near its base, returning after evacuations to cultivate mineral-rich soil left by volcanic ash. What allows such geometric perfection and strong eruptive energy to remain stable for centuries without visible collapse or distortion? According to experts, evenly layered lava and balanced internal pressure distribution help preserve Mayan's symmetrical shape. In the Sulu Sea of Palawan province in the Philippines, Tubataha Reef exists as an isolated ring-shaped coral system rising from deep ocean waters. The reef consists of massive coral formations built over thousands of years, forming steep underwater walls that drop hundreds of feet below the surface. The area records more than 600 fish species and hundreds of coral species, creating biodiversity comparable to a living underwater city. At one point, a ship ran aground here, drawing national attention and strengthening strict protection measures for this fragile ecosystem. Diving into the clear water, you face layered coral fields and dense schools of fish, sensing an environment still largely untouched by human impact. This site is managed as a strictly protected marine park, and since 1993 has been recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site for its exceptional biodiversity and well-preserved ecosystem structure. In the Davao region of the Philippines, Mount Apo stands as an ancient volcanic giant, preserving remarkable geological and ecological significance. Rising about 9,700 feet, nearly 3 times the height of the Eiffel Tower, it is the highest peak. Formed by ancient volcanic activity, Mount Apo contains basaltic rock, old vents, and geothermal features that reveal its long tectonic history. For indigenous communities, the mountain holds sacred value and remains deeply connected to traditions that have endured across generations. Layered ecosystems from tropical rainforests to mossy highlands support rare wildlife, including the critically endangered Philippine eagle, within its protected environment. In the northeastern part of Mindanao in the Philippines, Dinagat Islands emerged as an isolated island province surrounded by open sea, where limestone formations and forested hills create rugged and uncommon terrain. The area also contains rich marine ecosystems with coral reefs and clear waters, attracting diving activities and biological research because of its high level of biodiversity. This landscape developed over millions of years through uplift and erosion, forming sharp limestone structures with unusual shapes that extend directly toward the surrounding sea. Its separation across wide waters limited large-scale urban growth, allowing natural habitats and ecological structures to remain stable across generations. The scenery stands out, with steep limestone outcrops and narrow sandy stretches set between rock walls, creating a raw atmosphere different from flatter tropical islands. When you arrive in Dinagat Islands, you directly experience the contrast between jagged limestone surfaces, dense green forest, and clear turquoise waters, a rare combination within the Philippine archipelago. Located in Surigao del Sur province in the Philippines, Hinatuan Enchanted River appears as a mysterious deep blue waterway shaped by nature. The river is famous for its clear emerald water, fed by ancient limestone caves that preserve its pristine beauty and geological value. Explorations have recorded depths exceeding 300 feet, comparable to a 20-story building, revealing a complex underground system still largely unexplored. Why does this river remain astonishingly clear without visible surface inflow, as pure groundwater filtered through limestone removes impurities and reflects light? Local legends tell that villagers once believed sacred spirits guarded the river, encouraging communities to preserve its untouched environment for generations. The harmony of pristine ecosystems, hidden springs, and surreal beauty transforms this river into a natural wonder, symbolizing Earth's extraordinary creative power. Located in the Mimaropa region of the Philippines, Marinduque is a peaceful island province surrounded by open sea and known for its rare natural landscapes. Covering about 370 square miles, comparable to nearly 130,000 soccer fields, Marinduque offers vast space and ecosystems shaped over millions of years. Local residents remain closely connected to both land and sea, preserving long-standing traditions that reflect a balanced relationship with their environment. The island is considered the geographic heart of the Philippines because its central position has influenced national history, culture, and traditional trade routes. Its rugged terrain and untouched scenery result from long geological formation processes that created mountains and an extended, varied coastline. When you arrive, you will feel the calm atmosphere and wide natural surroundings, creating a direct and genuine experience within an unspoiled island setting. Located in the southern part of Negros Oriental in the Philippines, Sayatan stretches like a natural corridor where mountains and sea merge in an undisturbed landscape. The coastline extends for more than 19 miles, comparable to about 30 football fields placed end to end, creating an unusually open coastal environment. The terrain transitions smoothly from rolling hills to the shoreline, forming an uninterrupted setting where forests, farmland, and the ocean remain closely connected. Local residents depend on traditional fishing and agriculture, with many families maintaining small-scale practices that protect natural resources and preserve environmental balance for future generations. Exploring this region, you clearly experience the harmony between sea and forest, where coastal ecosystems function sustainably and reveal the rare beauty of an unspoiled natural environment. Sayaton is regarded as one of the few areas in southern Negros Oriental that retains pristine coastal scenery, where nature and human life coexist in remarkable equilibrium. Located in northern Luzon Island of the Philippines, Banged in Abra Province appears as a tranquil valley where fertile plains are encircled by ancient mountain ranges. This valley formed through millions of years of geological activity, creating rich soil that sustains stable agriculture and supports local communities across generations. Banged symbolizes the prosperity and resilience of Abra, reflecting the harmonious relationship between nature, fertile alluvial land, and the enduring livelihoods of mountain inhabitants. The main river extends for more than 90 miles, comparable to the distance between Paris and Brussels, depositing fertile sediments over thousands of years. For generations, residents have relied on farming and livestock raising, preserving traditional practices while maintaining a balanced way of life closely connected to nature. Banged is recognized as one of the most fertile and unspoiled valleys in northern Philippines, illustrating a lasting balance between natural resources and human settlement. Located in Abra Province in northern Luzon of the Philippines, Capacan Falls emerges as a natural masterpiece, where layered limestone forms a rare terraced waterfall within a pristine mountain landscape. Hundreds of natural pools spread across travertine surfaces, created through thousands of years of mineral deposition, shaping a remarkable geological structure resembling vast terraced formations. Why does Capacan Falls display such an extraordinary form compared to typical waterfalls? Mineral-rich water continuously accumulates over time, building limestone terraces and sustaining a stable karst ecosystem across countless generations. The cascade consists of hundreds of stepped formations, comparable to world-famous terraced landscapes, creating a striking and distinctive natural scenery rarely found elsewhere in Southeast Asia. For generations, local communities have regarded this site as a natural treasure, preserving its pristine condition while promoting sustainable tourism linked to environmental conservation. Kapakan Falls is recognized as one of Abra's most extraordinary natural wonders, renowned for its unique geological formations and its remarkably well-preserved, untouched beauty. Iligan City, in the northern part of Mindanao Island in the Philippines, forms a rare landscape where steep terrain and water systems merge into a unified natural structure. More than 20 waterfalls exist within the same urban area, creating a layered water network where continuous flow connects multiple levels and keeps the landscape in constant motion. When elevation differences reach about 2,000 feet within a short distance, what prevents water from spreading out and instead forces it into strong, concentrated streams? The answer lies in steep slopes that accelerate flow speed and collect water efficiently across the terrain. Local residents build houses and pathways across rising and falling ground levels, forming a daily lifestyle that directly adapts to steep slopes and constant water movement. Rivers under 10 miles long still carry heavy flow volumes, functioning like compressed systems where water from a wide area is forced through narrow channels to increase force. The ground surface keeps changing as water moves across multiple rock layers, creating a raw and dynamic environment where human activity exists alongside a continuously reshaping natural system. In the central Philippines, Tablas Island appears as a large, separated landmass where dense forest and fragmented terrain preserve a nearly untouched natural structure at rare scale. With an area of over 600 square miles, roughly equal to a large city spread out, this island feels wide yet empty, as most space remains covered by hills and forest. More than 70% of the island is covered by dense vegetation, naturally dividing regions and limiting the continuous spread of infrastructure across the landscape. When roads cannot extend across the entire island, travel must follow indirect paths around complex terrain, making short distances take longer and less predictable to complete. Local residents build low houses spread across stable ground, reflecting direct adaptation to uneven land rather than reshaping it on a large scale. On an island of this size, many areas still show minimal human intervention, creating a space where natural structure clearly dominates over constructed environments. Does there exist an offshore archipelago in the eastern Philippines, where Caramon Islands is divided into hundreds of limestone formations, creating a landscape that feels almost separated from modern development systems? Many shallow areas measure around 3 to 10 feet in depth, allowing clear visibility to the seabed and revealing the underwater terrain structure across a wide area. Steep rock walls rise several hundred feet from the sea, with heights close to a 20-story building, forming natural barriers that surround the water like massive solid structures. The coastline is broken into short sections, mixed with rock and forest, creating enclosed spaces with calm water and constantly shifting terrain across the surface. The area consists of hundreds of completely separated limestone islands, forming a complex natural network where no continuous land route exists for movement between locations. Vegetation grows directly on thin rock layers, with extremely limited soil, yet continues to develop, showing how the ecosystem has adapted over long periods to unstable ground and scarce nutrients. Taal volcano in the Philippines exists as a volcanic system located on an island within a large lake, creating a rare, multi-layered structure that remains geologically active today. The entire area formed from an ancient eruption that created a lake about 15 miles wide, showing the surface once collapsed and has been rebuilding through long geological cycles. What keeps a volcano only about 1,000 feet high under constant seismic monitoring is the interaction between magma and water, which generates strong pressure that can trigger explosive eruptions within a very short time. More than 30 eruptions since the 16th century have forced surrounding communities to adopt adaptive lifestyles, staying ready to move quickly and relying on scientific warnings to reduce risk. The surface is covered with fresh ash and rock, with visible cracks and gas vents creating a dry, sparse environment that still shows continuous geological change beneath a thin outer layer. Boat travel and short steep climbs have become part of daily life as people maintain their livelihoods within an environment where geological activity remains constantly present. In Donsol, in the Philippines, a coastal marine area forms where people can directly encounter the largest fish species in the world within an open and uncontrolled natural environment. Whale sharks here can reach about 40 feet in length, similar to a full-size bus, showing an unusually large biological scale near coastal waters. Visitors travel by small boats to waters about 20 to 50 feet deep, where these animals rise close to the surface while feeding on natural food sources. Local residents rely on direct experience to locate these animals, creating an approach based on observation rather than modern tracking systems. Short rivers carry nutrient-rich water into the sea, supporting plankton growth and maintaining a stable food chain that attracts large marine species. Donsol was once a traditional fishing area before shifting toward an ecotourism model based on protecting marine wildlife and maintaining natural ocean conditions. San Agustin Church in the Philippines stands as a massive stone structure that has lasted for over 400 years, designed to remain stable in a region with frequent seismic activity. Completed in the year 1607, it is the oldest intact stone church, with walls several feet thick that increase resistance against strong and repeated ground movement. The Baroque design was adapted with lower walls and heavier mass to reduce the center of gravity, lowering the risk of collapse when the ground shifts suddenly. Inside, the ceiling uses trompe-l'oeil painting to create visual depth on a flat surface, reducing structural load while maintaining a clear architectural effect. Stone columns and arches are arranged along a symmetrical axis, distributing weight evenly into the ground, which supports long-term structural stability over centuries. The entire ceiling is actually a flat painted surface instead of a raised structure, significantly lowering material weight, while still presenting a complex interior space. Pamilican Island in the Philippines appears as a small island directly connected to deep ocean waters, where large marine animals can be found close to shore under natural conditions. Waters around the island become deep within a few hundred feet, making dolphin and whale sightings possible just offshore without the need for long-distance travel. The local community shifted from hunting marine animals to conservation and ecotourism, a transition recognized in regional studies as an effective adaptation model. Despite its small land area, the surrounding marine structure shows a clear contrast between shallow coral zones and deeper ocean water located very close together. Residents live in low, scattered houses and rely on small-scale fishing and tourism, reflecting direct adaptation to natural conditions without heavy urban development. A continuous white sand edge meets gradually deepening clear water, where each step into the sea passes through multiple environmental layers within a single contained space. Located along the coast of the Philippines, Anilao reveals an underwater environment where value is defined not by size, but by an extremely high density of marine life. Beginners can experience diving in shallow waters, around 30 feet, where the ecosystem is already fully developed and easy to access. A compact area can support hundreds of species because coral structures act as a biological base, providing shelter and maintaining a continuous ecosystem. Coral reefs function as a foundation, creating shelter and food sources for many small marine species that continue to develop over time. Species such as frogfish and small octopus use camouflage to blend into the seabed, making them almost impossible to detect without close observation. Some organisms exist only under stable conditions, within limited areas, forming a micro-ecosystem where small changes can directly influence the entire biological chain. In the Philippines, hanging coffins of Sagada exists as a unique burial setting, where coffins are positioned directly on steep rock faces instead of being placed underground as commonly seen. Coffins are placed on cliff walls rather than buried underground, reflecting a belief that higher positions bring the deceased closer to the spiritual world. The limestone here formed from ancient marine sediments, showing that the area was once underwater before being raised by geological activity over time. Many coffins have remained for hundreds of years, providing real data about burial techniques and material durability under natural environmental conditions. Wooden coffins are positioned from several dozen to over 100 feet high, similar to a multi-story structure, forming a clear layered pattern along the cliff surface. Some coffins are secured using nails or wooden supports fixed directly into the rock, showing a simple method that maintains stability over long periods of time. Rizal Park in Manila, Philippines, forms a large public space where historical layers and urban life exist together on a clearly planned and stable ground structure. The park covers about 140 acres, allowing people and visitors to move continuously along long landscape axes without interruption in a dense built environment. The low terrain near the coastal zone has been modified to improve rapid drainage, helping the area remain functional even during periods of heavy rainfall. Clusters of trees are arranged to reduce surface radiation while also creating a more stable microclimate compared to surrounding urban zones. Rizal Park is closely associated with Jose Rizal, a key figure in reform movements, making this space a major gathering point across different periods of society. The area also records important events across generations, forming a shared memory linked to an open and accessible landscape structure. Can you imagine what happens when a long strip of sand at Nakpan Beach stretches like a straight line connecting land to the ocean, where every boundary becomes as clear as a living map? The sand here extends about 4 miles, equal to more than 70 50-story buildings placed end to end, forming an unbroken horizon line. nearly flat terrain allows shallow water to reach far from the shore, making the ocean feel like it spreads out in thin layers instead of dropping suddenly. The sand under your feet is never fixed, but gently shifts, creating the feeling of walking on a surface that constantly adjusts to your movement. The gentle slope lets shallow water stretch hundreds of feet, similar to the length of a large commercial airplane, making the boundary between land and sea unusually extended. The entire space works like a self-balancing system, where waves continuously reshape the shoreline, turning the landscape into a structure that keeps changing while staying organized. In Manila, Philippines, Fort Santiago was constructed as a solid stone fortress controlling a major water route and functioning as a strategic defensive structure for many centuries. The walls exceed 20 feet in thickness, built from heavy stone, allowing the structure to resist attacks and reflect early military thinking during the development of artillery systems. The fort was constructed in the 16th century under Spanish rule and continued to function as a military center and detention site across different historical periods. Inside the structure, long corridors and open courtyards are enclosed by solid walls, ensuring that all movement remains within a clearly controlled defensive space. Underground chambers with low ceilings and narrow passages were designed for confinement, limiting movement and strengthening control over individuals held within the fortress system. Footprints carved directly into the stone surface record the final path of José Rizal, leaving a precise historical trace embedded within the physical structure. Chapter D. Lake Cebu is a highland lake in southern Philippines, where water forest and indigenous culture combine into a rare ecosystem. (1,000 feet). The lake sits at about 1,000 feet above sea level, and its dark surface absorbs light, making the surrounding space feel dense and different from bright coastal waters. (1,000 feet). The lake does not stay still, but connects to a layered water system where flows move through steep terrain, creating a landscape that keeps changing like a natural machine. The surface is covered by more than 10,000 floating fish cages, forming a large geometric pattern seen from above, where humans directly shape the environment. "10,000. The surrounding forest acts like a natural shield, holding soil and keeping water stable, allowing the ecosystem to function as a closed cycle." The life of the Taboli people happens directly on the water, where daily activities blend with the lake, making the boundary between nature and humans almost disappear completely. Located in the southern part of Luzon Island in the Philippines, Batangas is shaped by the strong meeting of ancient volcanic mountains and open sea, forming a dense landscape with multiple geological layers. The geology here developed through long tectonic movement and repeated eruptions, leaving basalt rock layers and mineral-rich soil that supports farming alongside the daily life of coastal fishing communities. With a long coastline, broken by rocky headlands and small bays, Batangas holds diverse coral ecosystems and has become one of the important diving centers in the Philippines. Have you ever wondered why, within a short distance, the land shifts from volcanic high ground to open coast, as if two geological worlds exist side by side? This happens because tectonic faults lifted mountain blocks, while constant marine erosion lowered the shoreline, creating clear elevation contrasts within a limited geographic space. Local communities live on land reshaped by past volcanic forces, cultivating mineral-rich soil and relying on marine resources to maintain a steady livelihood within a complex natural setting. What makes Moalboal in Philippines a place where the ocean reaches right to the shore, where people take a few steps and enter a massive moving ecosystem? Just below the water, millions of sardines form a dense moving group, creating a living cloud that constantly changes shape with every movement around it. This phenomenon exists because nutrient-rich currents keep food supply stable, allowing the fish to stay in one area without needing long migrations. The seabed drops quickly within about 30 feet from the shore, allowing large marine life to come very close to land in a way rarely seen elsewhere. In this space, sea turtles move slowly in strong contrast to the dense, fast-moving fish, creating two different rhythms of life in one scene. This combination of extremely high life density and almost zero distance of access turns the place into a surreal experience that people can step into directly. In the waters of the Philippines, Apo Island appears like a slice of the ocean, where the underwater world becomes visible directly before human eyes. The island covers only about 0.3 square miles, but holds more than 400 coral species, forming a dense structure like a constantly moving underwater city. Coral reefs are built from layers of skeletons collected over thousands of years, attached to volcanic rock, creating a three-dimensional ecosystem close to the shore. The water is so clear that light reaches down dozens of feet, revealing each coral layer like a living map that can be seen without special equipment. Sea turtles often appear near the shore because of stable food sources, making the experience feel like entering a natural system that is always active. Community-based protection has turned this place into a natural breeding zone, where marine life spreads outward and helps maintain balance across the wider ocean. Do you believe that at Malapascua Island in the Philippines, there is an ecosystem where large animals repeat their behavior in cycles as if it is programmed? The seabed drops quickly from shallow water to more than 300 feet, creating a clear boundary between bright water and the deep ocean very close to shore. Unlike many other seas where this species appears randomly, Malapascua has a stable biological cycle where thresher sharks regularly move into shallower areas to clean their bodies. Ocean currents form a small circulation that keeps nutrients and marine life in place, turning the area into a stable and self-contained ecosystem. Because of this, diving here does not depend on luck, but on natural patterns that repeat again and again in a predictable way. This stability makes Malapascua feel like a living biological clock of the ocean and helps local people shift from fishing to ecotourism. Have you ever stepped into Sagada Valley in Mountain Province, where a closed limestone valley makes the entire space function like a system separated from the Philippines? The valley sits at an elevation of about 5,000 feet, where space is pressed between steep cliffs, making every human movement slower and more controlled. The whole landscape formed from ancient limestone that was once a seabed, later lifted upward and shaped by water into a network of connected, multi-level caves. Inside the caves, mineral structures grow at only about 0.1 inch per year, making each rock layer act like a slow record of environmental history. The hanging coffins on the cliffs are not just a ritual, but show how people adapt to steep terrain by using vertical space for important practices. When entering Sagada Valley, the experience does not happen on flat ground, but across depth and height, creating the feeling of moving through a layered world.